You guys remember Gollum? You know, used to be Smeagol. Then he found the one ring to rule them all.
Precious.
Then he lived in a cave for hundreds of years until Bilbo Baggins got the ring. And now the only thing he wants in life is to get the ring back on his fingy, no matter the cost. Yeah, that guy was awesome. In fact, ever since watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I've had one thought in the back of my mind that just kept eating away at me. Finally, I decided that enough was enough. And so the other day I posted online, they should have given the ring to Gollum. Changed my mind. Now, I expected this to be a controversial statement, and as anticipated, you had this to say. I haven't seen the Lord of the Rings movies, so I have no opinion. And Starvel, I honestly do see your point. And I don't think you're wrong, per se, but I also don't think that you're right. They should have given Gollum the ring, right? Stopped Emu 67. That looks like my sister. Anyways, I don't know anything about Lord of the Rings, if that's even what this is. Listen, that's a pretty alright rebuttal. I don't know anything about Lord of the Rings, if that's even what this is. I mean, how can I argue against that? It's just a good point. As for your other comment, well, hey, you sound like one lucky brother. But I am starting to get a little worried over here. If I'm going to try to convince anyone that Gollum deserved the ring, I am probably going to need some backup. I don't even like Lord of the Rings, but from what I have heard is that, yes, they should have. Phew. Thank you, Damon. It's getting worried there. And if what you've heard is anything like what I'm about to say, then I think everyone who's watching this video will soon be echoing Damon Moles. Now, when I say they, I'm talking about Frodo and Samwise, two incredibly mean hobbits who never gave kind, gentle Gollum the ring he rightfully deserves. While Frodo at least showed some sympathy to sweet, sweet Gollum, Samwise was always distrustful. And for what? Sure, Gollum tried to steal the ring from Frodo a bunch of times. And sure, Gollum kept trying to get Frodo to turn on his best friend Samwise. And sure, he led them into, a couple life-threatening traps? But have you ever thought about this? Maybe Gollum needed a best friend too. And if I had known Gollum, I'd have been his friend. I would have had a barbecue in his backyard. I would have given the guy a few rings. At least one, wouldn't you? 90 coins. Technically, they did. He was the last being to physically hold the ring, and when they reunited, it destroyed them both. Yeah, but Frodo never gave the ring to Gollum. It was forcibly taken. Semantics, yes, but what else is there left to us in this world? Thank you, Chris Nichols. Good to see you again. I'm sure Gollum would have invited you to his barbecue. And as for you, 90 coins, just a quick question, real quick. If you were 90 rings, would you have given one of them to Gollum? Let me know. Well, Frodo cursed Gollum. Begone and trouble me no more. If you touch me ever again, you shall be cast yourself into the fire of doom. Frodo couldn't throw away the one ring, so Gollum took it and fell down because of the curse. The best scenario was Gollum taking the ring. Yes, exactly, Professor X. You know what? You would have been invited to the barbecue as well. Wait, I think so. You are agreeing with me, right? It's kind of hard to tell. Either way, I always used to hear a lot of people saying that nobody should have the one ring to rule them all. Not Gollum, not Frodo, not anybody.
The ring must be destroyed.
They always said that it should be thrown into the cracks of doom or whatever. I know, it's wild. It's not my opinion. Gandalf was also saying a lot of stuff like that. And some of the Fellowship was also talking about it too. Well, let me say this to you. You got your wish. And how did you get your wish? Yeah, that's right. My buddy Gollum was so determined to get that ring onto his finger that he jumped straight into the cracks of doom just for a chance to hold it one last time. Looks like Gollum was right for the ring, huh? Huh? You should have just given the guy his ring. Bill Gibbs says, Smeagol went insane when he got the ring, turning him into Gollum. I think that's a good sign that he wasn't the one who could control such power. Okay, now you've got me thinking. Smeagol did completely lose all sense of self in those hundreds of years when he had the ring. He did essentially become possessed by its power, and he did then turn into a complete shell of his former self. But people change, and I'm happy to accept Gollum for who he is today. And you know what? I'm willing to accept whoever this ring turns him into next. Maybe after another 400 years with the ring, Gollum will become Gandalf. Does that line up with the Lord of the Rings lore? Me, about to argue the logic of this statement with a bunch of Lord of the Rings lore. Also me. You know what? Nah. Well, I guess we'll never know. Speaking of lore though, many of you pointed out that Gollum did keep the ring safe for many years. That's gotta count for something, right? That I agree with. He was the only one that actually kept it safe. Didn't he have it for 5 whole centuries? It stayed hidden from Sauron for 500 years under his possession. Sauron, was becoming more and more powerful and was avidly seeking the ring during the period in the movie. They found Gollum and tortured him, so they probably would have found him if he still had the ring. Jarek does bring up a pretty solid point here, but to that I say, no, Gollum would have been fine. Sauron would have found him eventually. Nah, come on, Gollum's a crafty guy, he would have figured it out. Just give Gollum the ring, come on guys. Gollum is weak. Saruman's army would have found him, killed him, and got the ring. Are we even talking about the same Gollum here? You're talking about my guy Gollum? Gollum's a freaking genius. And he's like super strong too. He would have been like so fine. Are you nuts? Gollum could have never resisted Sauron. That is argument enough for me. All right, okay. You're probably right. Gollum couldn't have hid from Sauron forever. Especially if Gollum was planning on throwing such awesome barbecues. I mean, he would have had to invite the Eye of Sauron at some point. And I admit it, after the ring ended up with Bilbo, Gollum was found and tortured into revealing all that he knew about the One Ring to rule them all. Sure, Gollum might have done a fantastic job keeping the ring away from Sauron the first time around. But give Gollum another 400 years and honestly, breaks my heart to admit this, but I don't think he could have pulled it off again. Gollum may be my second best friend in the entire universe, but even I can admit that. Plus, as Trooper X puts it, let's face it, relationships that go through a breakup don't have a great shot at making it the second time. The ring broke up with Gollum once, and it had a much healthier relationship with Bilbo as a rebound. I don't think it's ready to try again with its ex. Maybe it was time for Gollum to move on, except that he no longer had the ring. There's other fish in the sea. There's other rings in Middle-earth. Don't limit your sights, Gollum. I know you thought that was the one ring to rule them all, but you never know what other rings are out there. Okay. I'm starting to realize that I made an absolutely foolish statement earlier. Gollum needed to move on from the ring. He needed to realize what was really important in life. It wasn't some stupid golden ring. Gollum, from best friend to best friend, I just want to say, I wish you could have read what Fennec Fox wrote. As long as the ring remained, Sauron could never be destroyed. Even without the ring, Sauron was still able to wield great control over the land and people. The ring was not an inanimate object. It had a will and mind of its own. It left Gollum to get into Bilbo's possession. Sure, they could have given it to Gollum, but eventually the ring would have succeeded in getting back to Sauron, because that is what it wanted. It had to be destroyed. Otherwise, Sauron would never be ultimately defeated. When a fox writes something like that, you can't help but nod your head. And honestly, you're right. You're all right. Giving the ring to Gollum would have accomplished absolutely nothing. The entire point of the Lord of the Rings series is that an all-powerful ring like this should never exist. Giving it to Gollum would have been a terrible decision, just as Frodo keeping the ring would have also been a terrible decision. To be honest, I just wish I could have hung out with Gollum. That guy rules. And he wanted that ring so badly, and I just wanted to make him happy, so I guess I thought, well, if he got the ring, then maybe he'd be happy. I hope at least he went out with a smile. I like to think he put the ring on just before he hit the lava, and somehow that saved him. Gollum was the best thing in the books, movies, games, and all other forms of media involving the Lord of the Rings universe. I don't care if he didn't show up in something, he's still the best thing in it. Yeah, you know what? Gollum is the best, and I like to think that too. Thanks, Nightmare Eyes. You put a smile on an Isaac's face. So, what do you think? Should they have given Gollum the ring? Do you hope that Peter Jackson directs a 3-part prequel trilogy about Gollum's time with the ring? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to visit our community tab to see what other fictional characters I'd love to have a barbecue with. Alright, see you next time.